were talking about Lamar Jackson earlier. You being a Ravens guy, it seems like you've followed this NFL closely. He's the only last one left of these big quarterbacks to get signed. Do you think it happens? Even though we've seen the Ravens in the past sometimes let players go in their primes and just rebuild and get good players after that.
Rebuild with who?
Draft well is what I mean, but yeah.
You don't let the salary cap exists because the NFL gives them the money, so they have to spend it. The NFLPA was like you have to spend. I think you have to spend 95% of it or something like that. So they have to give him whatever he wants, and they should have forced him into a deal 2 years ago when they saw what he was. Almost like a baseball, right? The baseball players. They see for Tatis Jr. is going to be a thing, and they're like 6 years away from free agency to give him $300 million, and now it's the biggest steal in the world, right? So now they're going to have to pay him $55. They're going to pay him $50 million a year. That is what it is, man. It's
saying $50 million. It's crazy. I mean, when you hear that, because when you were playing. These guys weren't making that kind of money. They weren't making anywhere close to that money, and now they're
not 50. But I think there was somebody at 25.
Yeah.
I think it was. It might have been Aaron Rodgers that got to like 25. We were like, "Yo, there's no way it's going higher than that. It is twice that." And by the time some of these, 6th grade kids are in these quarterback camps wind up in NFL, it'll be $100 million a year. They'll make European soccer money. It's coming. It's coming. Just all you do is throw your hand. It's coming. It's good money. It's good work if you can get it. You got to be really good though.
Well, I might as well have put myself, and my son's going to be playing football too.
My son is not playing. My son is an IMG playing football now.
Oh yeah,
but he's a baseball player.
Good for him.
He will be in the big leagues at a very young age.
Look at you, son now in professional sports. He was in professional sports. Good for him. And what's your son's name?
Trevor Pryce.
Trevor Pryce.
Yeah, you'll believe me. You'll hear him very soon. But there's a kid down there that does what now? Yeah, exactly.
Well, good. We interview a lot of young guys. We're actually going to be interviewing Brandon Jacobs' son, who's a top-end offensive line prospect. We interview a lot.
Offensive lineman?
Yeah. Listen to this, Trevor. 6'6". Listen to this. 15 years old. 6'6", almost 300 pounds already.
And he's probably all muscle.
And he's 15 years old.
Like his dad.
Yeah.
He's 50 pounds bigger than his dad right now.
He's a lot bigger than his dad.
Yeah.
A lot bigger than his dad.
Oh, yeah.
Trevor is 6 foot tall. Trevor is 250. He's 16 years old.
Wow.
Trevor runs but my son runs like a deer, hits the ball like Aaron Judge.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
Wow.
And I don't know where he gets from because I can't hit a baseball. I can't hit baseball at all. I know nothing about baseball. But kid just has power in his hips and his ass. I don't know what happened.
Don't tell your wife that.
That's where he gets it from. I'm like, your mother's legs.
So there you go. If the Yankees lose Aaron Judge, there's a future Aaron Judge in the wings.
Oh, hopefully the Yankees draft him.
Yeah, your mom's hips and ass. Look at this thing. Look at the ball go.
That's the first thing I'll ask him. Your father told me that you have your mom's hips and ass. He'd be like, my father told you what?
He's like, yeah, facts. Facts. My oldest daughter's built like me. My oldest daughter is 6 foot tall and plays tennis.
Wow.
So she's long and lean, but my son got them jeans, but there's some muscle in them jeans.
Wow.
He probably runs a 4.6.
Wow.
So fast. Plays middle linebacker. Anyway, that's funny. Me and my daughter are talking about me and my oldest. She just graduated from Cornell University.
Good for her.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. She just graduated, and I was like, I said, Kari, me and you're gonna do a podcast, a sports podcast.
You should. I think you'd be great.
She was like, make it happen, old man. I was like, well, I'm gonna try. So
I think if you ever need any help with that, we can help you, man. I've been doing it for a long, long time.
Yeah.
We're not a podcast. We're a live radio show, but we've been obviously brought radio shows and different people on our network, and we can help you, man. Absolutely.
I try to like talk to everybody like, okay, Kari, live golf tour, go. and because she has an Ivy League education, just saying a bunch of words. Well, yeah, juxtapose the PD and and she says nothing. She goes on for 10 minutes, and there's nothing in there that makes any sense. I'm like, you're perfect. You're perfect.
It's true. With sports media and with what radio is now, it's really just entertaining people. It doesn't matter how you present it. It's really how you entertain. People are going to hate you and they're going to love you. It doesn't matter.
I'm not worried about that part, but I'm like, Card, I'm like, watch sports radio. Like, you just need an opinion. She's like, Dad, I don't know what I'm going to do and this and that. I said, Card, you argue with me every time I say something. You say the opposite just because I say it. So therefore, we're going to do this live on the air and see what the hell happens. And then I was like, let's practice. I said, Kari, live sports radio. I said, live golf. She said, I'm glad you asked me that, Trevor. I said, don't do that. My agent told me, he said, give me, he said, get me half hour of your best stuff. I said, it will be a train wreck. No, they'll love it.
What you need to do is you need to just start secretly researching like 3 obscure sports and then challenge her.
But she knows all obscure sports. That's the thing. That's what she knows. I'm like, we have a family fantasy football thing, and she was the one. She wanted the year Lamar Jackson became the starter, and when she drafted Lamar Jackson, everybody laughed. Like, yo, what are you doing? And she's like, watch. And sure enough, man, MVP.
Yeah.
So it was great.
I'm sure she was jumping for joy. I bet you she texted out to everybody after he won the MVP.
Oh, God.
I told you so.
It was a absolute. We lived with that for one whole summer. we had to live with that mess.
I definitely got to interview your daughter.
My son last year he went undefeated in a fit. We had 20 people in our fantasy football league. First of all, I just learned how to play fantasy football because, like Ray Lewis, I don't play fantasy football. I play real football. I don't know what the hell fantasy football is, right? So then we had 20 people in it. 20, as in like people are playing back at running backs. This little MFer went undefeated. I was like, how? Like he'd be losing, and then whatever kicker you had would get 20 points and win. I was like, yo, this is. And he just wouldn't shut up about it, man. So anyway.
Yeah, they all like to brag when they win.
They all like to brag. Say, hey, old man, you know football. I said, no, I don't know who those people are. Like, you know who these people are. I do not. Get me Josh Allen. The rest of it, I don't really care.
You love Josh Allen. I do know.
I do like a Josh Allen. I was a fan when they drafted him because you can't teach big, strong, rocket arm. You can't teach that. Those are intangibles. Draft a guy with things you can't teach. You can't teach speed. You can't teach size. You can't teach talent. I can teach you where to line up. You know what I mean? So
you were mentioning the they didn't play real football players don't play fantasy football. I actually did read something though. There was a league at one point. I think it was 2008. I think it was Steven Jackson, Larry Fitzgerald, Darren Sproles, and a couple other players too. Actually, did have their own fantasy league.
I'm sure a lot of them play now.
No, I mean when they were playing at the time, I think they actually were.
But I'm sure you got to remember, a lot of them got young. They grew up playing it, so they don't stop because they're in the NFL.
Right?
Yeah, that's fair.
They grew up doing like if my son decides he wants to play running back, he's going to play running back in NFL, right? And he's like, hey, I play fantasy football. I've been doing this since I was 10. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
But when I played, I was like, fantasy what? I don't even know what. No, I'm not doing this.
That's what I read about it. I was shocked because you're right. It's not really like that wasn't that big of a thing back then. But you're right. I think even now, like even Austin Eckler, I think came on a fantasy show and like told him to start somebody or something like that.
All of them know how to disconnect their brains from their job. We all know how to do that. We all know how to, when we leave the facility, you become Austin Eckler. You're Austin Eckler, the Charger. You're Austin Eckler. So you can disconnect your brain and become a football fan if you're a football fan. And most of the guys you see in the NFL grew up as football fans. They grew up chasing the game, right? They want to be like their heroes. But just because you play in the NFL doesn't mean you stop doing that.
Well, we really appreciate your time, man, and really who you are, man. We'll definitely get you on again. It won't be 3 years from then, but we would love to. If your son wants to come on for an interview, we would love to interview him.
He's at IMG Academy, believe me, and they will put him on here too. Amount of money I pay that place, for God's sakes.
But we would love to interview him and really keep up with the good work, everything that you do. And I do believe one of these days you're going to get a phone call from the Hall of Fame and you're going to be nominated because I think
One
your
day.
numbers are good, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. We'll see. I haven't. You know.
Yeah, of course.
I'm glad for the people that do get it. I really am, because it means something to everybody. It means something. What means something to me is I played against it. I'm like, oh my god, I'm old enough, and my teammates and contemporaries are going to the Hall of Fame. I was like, I beat that guy. Alan Faneca, I gave Alan the business. Business.
Well,
like, you to the Hall of Fame. Well, he's very good, except against me. Yeah, you can tell him that.
You know what? I will. I'll say that. I'll throw him a curveball.
Throw him a curveball if you ever talk to him.
Yeah, even though you know nothing about baseball, but I'll throw him the curveball. Twist the wrist. Twist the wrist. Two fingers on the seam. Twist the wrist.
Twist the wrist. That's all I know. All right.
Thank you so much, Trevor. We really appreciate your time, bud.
Absolutely, guys.